And so has there been a recommendation for people who take immunosuppressants to go and get tested for antibodies to see what their levels are like right now?
Well, I don't think the testing is very widely available at the moment, but they do recommend that people talk to their doctors, and their doctors are certainly going to tell them to, wear extra PPE. Don't act like you could take that mask off yet because, you might not be protected. So it's not widely recommended yet that everybody gets tested, but it kind of seems like that's the path where we're heading.
And the concern is there. As I mentioned, you spoke to a lot of people. You spoke to a woman, I think she was 71 years old. She owns a bar. She has like a plastic shower curtain, dividing her from the bar and the patrons, and she deals with a lot of people. She's immunocompromised. I think she got tested. She has no antibodies. So, yeah, she has to kind of operate as she's still in the thick of the pandemic.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was really hoping, she could take that thing down. She's got another section of her bar that, she can't open just, for other reasons. But, she was hoping to be back, more or less leading a normal life like so many other people, making travel plans for the summer. But, yeah, all that stuff is on hold now because once she heard about this news, it was like she thought she was protected, and it turned out, no, she really wasn't.
Yeah, I guess the next step is doctors are waiting for approvals right now to launch a study of all of this to see if a booster shot would help. So obviously they're looking into it, but these are all the next steps to explore right now. Joe Barrett, Senior Midwest Correspondent at the Wall Street Journal, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem. Take care.
California Governor Gavin Newsom continues to face a recall vote, but the early momentum in getting the recall on the ballot has faded, and Republicans are having difficulties making some of the attacks stick. The state is scheduled to reopen June 15th. There's a budget surplus, and even polls look good for Newsom right now, with 57% opposing the recall. For more on all of this, we'll speak to Carla Marinucci, senior writer for Politico's California Playbook.
What we're seeing is that Governor Newsom really seems to have the wind at his back right now. I mean, he's got the poll numbers in his favor, with only 40% of California voters saying they support it. You've got the state bouncing back from the COVID situation. The budget surplus is unlike anything California has ever seen. He's claiming about a $76 billion surplus and then $27 billion in federal stimulus to boot. That means Newsom has been able to give away $600 checks in that stimulus. And, on the COVID situation, he's now promising those $50 gift cards to anyone who gets a vaccine, to the next 2 million Californians, and then a huge lottery coming in the middle of the month. So right now, Republican candidates have tried to get traction against him. You've got one Republican candidate, John Cox, who's even taken out a 1,000-pound bear with him on the campaign trail. Kevin Faulconer is trying with, serious policy proposals, but it is hard to get traction against a governor who's got the advantage of the bully pulpit and is going around the state all doing a victory lap with the COVID recovery.
And that's really what kind of, the recall effort was already set in motion, but that's the thing that really gave it some energy was business closures. And at that time, it was kind of a roller coaster. They were open, then they had to close back down, then they were kind of open in limited capacity. Yeah. That's the thing that really gave it energy, and now we're reopening the state. So that's a tough one to nail on right there.
Absolutely, and if you saw over the Memorial Day weekend, boy, things were packed out there. The parks were packed, the beaches are packed. There's no question that California is recovering from this COVID pandemic, and the governor is using that terminology, California roaring back, as he is describing these new programs, the stimulus payments, the economic recovery, and it's showing, as we said in his polls, right now, the latest Public Policy Institute of California poll showed 2/3 of California residents now say they back his handling of the pandemic. And you mentioned that's where this recall began, is the anger, the frustration at those businesses closing down, at the schools closing down. Well, right now, most of California is behind Newsom and the way he's reopening up again. So how do the Republicans get traction here? That is the big issue, and it's going to be their challenge, especially if Democrats move up the date of the recall as is being talked about now. That gives Republicans even less time to make an argument against Gavin Newsom.
You're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition on Kfi Am 640. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation about where the recall effort against Gavin Newsom stands.
Graduating from high school can leave you with a lot of questions about your future. You can find answers to those questions at a California community college. So don't wait. Enroll now for the fall semester. Online and in-person classes are available with year-round financial aid to help. Plus, with guaranteed transfer to a safe spot at a four-year university and hundreds of career programs to choose from, your future is looking brighter than ever. Classes can fill up quickly, so grab your spot now. Visit stayenrolled.com today.
Thinking of buying a house and want a really low interest rate? Owning has a special for home purchases, where Owning pays all your closing costs, and the rate in APR is an unheard of 1.875% for a 15-year fixed mortgage with 20% down. This is the craziest low rate for a mortgage with no closing costs that Owning has ever done. 1.875% rate in APR. Heck, we're almost paying you to live in a new house. Call 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if you qualify for this crazy low 1.875% rate. That's a fixed rate loan at 1.875% with no closing costs. Call 833-2-OWNING now because 1.875 could go away at any time.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Subject to credit approval. Offer assumes the use of lender's choice escrow and title services. Call 833-858-0066 for terms and conditions.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com. 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
Contractor license 1047-781.
$129 will make a world of difference in the efficiency of your air conditioner because just $129 is all it costs to have one of my genius Gettle technicians come to your home and perform a complete system rejuvenation.
We're going to clean and adjust your air conditioner
And make 6 critical adjustments to bring it back to factory specs.
Rejuvenation reduces breakdowns and makes your AC last longer.
a lot longer. Rejuvenation!
And we'll clean the coils the right way, not the easy way. You do not want to face Ken Goodrich if he finds out you did it the easy way.
You can't imagine how much difference it makes when the coils have been cleaned the right way. 6 critical adjustments and external coil cleaning the right way. Kenny and the boys are going to make your air conditioner sing like paparazzi.
I think you mean Pavarotti.
Yeah, him too.
Gettle. Goettl. We're the ones to call.
But it's hard to spell.
Also accepting real estate donations. Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
There's a lid for every pot. For every single person, there is a person.
Really?
There's only 7 billion of us. You mean you can't pair off with somebody? Or you can find a polyamorous thing. Maybe you get 4 or 5 other people in the whole deal.
Taught us, sometimes there's 2 lids
Gary and
to
Shannon.
your pot.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. KFI.
Right here on KFI. I'm here.
I love you. I know you do.
I'm here.
Do you love yourself?
No.
As I've always said, there's 2 kinds of people in this world. People who have 0 or very low self-esteem and liars.
Bill Handel.
And that's it.
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
I don't know. I think there's something to it. Right? You know, you don't have to be anywhere. You know, you lay your head wherever you are.
This is a guy who lives out of a shopping cart. Could you do that?
I'm close.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show. Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
I'm not a big cheesecake.
Oh.
I'm a carrot cake guy.
I'm such a weirdo.
No, one of my favorite cakes. You ever had a ham and cheese cake? Oh, stop it. Bill Handel. They're the best. Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
I know the weight of the world seems to rest on your shoulders, and sometimes life seems like it's filled only with confusion and chaos. But I assure you, I have a plan for you.
The Jesus Christ Show. This morning at 6 on KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
This is KFI AM 640, heard everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. I'm Oscar Ramirez, and you're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition. Let's talk about some of the candidates, because you mentioned John Cox coming out there with that huge bear. I live in California. That day, I saw all the news. I was kind of laughing. It was kind of a funny stunt. Caitlin,
I was face to face with the bear on the campaign trail. Let me tell you, it wasn't that funny because there was nothing separating the bear from the press corps. I wasn't sure which way that was going to go.
Other candidates like Caitlyn Jenner, who was getting a lot of national coverage was interesting, but really, I have not seen her do anything local, which is where you really need to be, because those are the people that are going to be voting.
Yeah, 40 days into her campaign, we haven't seen a single press conference, a single public event. She's gone to the East Coast to do a couple of very short interviews. Mostly she's selling T-shirts and hats on her website. We haven't seen a lot of policy positions from her. So she's going to have to, I think, either come up with some really detailed positions very soon and do some state media, which she has done none of. Otherwise, I think she's already considered sort of a fourth place contender in the polls, only at 6%, and I think Mary Carey, the porn star, is somewhere in that range as well.
So what do supporters of the recall effort have to do? They need some energy in this. As I mentioned at the beginning, the homeless issue in California, especially in Southern California, is so huge right now. That could be something to pin Gavin Newsom on. What do they need for their effort?
Yeah, right now, I mean, you do have some serious Republicans who are starting to focus on that. Kevin Kiley, an assemblyman from the Sacramento area, is saying, look, you need to have somebody really go down the list of the governor's failures this year, particularly on taxation issues and other issues that have caused major businesses to leave the state. He believes, and other Republicans believe, that Newsom is vulnerable also on crime issues, law and order issues, defunding the police. Some of the more progressive Democrats calling for that, and many Republicans are saying that is an issue that is going to hit with voters. And you mentioned homelessness. It is still sort of at pandemic levels in a lot of cities here in California. Oakland, Venice Beach is another area where people are complaining about this on a ripe scale, and the feeling is that Newsom has not done enough. At least Republicans are making that case, that is an area also where he's vulnerable. So yes, there are issues that resonate with not only Republicans but independent voters here in California, and the cost of housing is another big one. That's another issue that's causing some Californians to leave the state and go elsewhere, and Republicans are saying they have the opportunity to maybe bring along some of those independents and disgruntled Republicans and get them together. The bottom line is Republicans are much more energized to vote in this recall than Democrats are. In a Berkeley poll showed that 75% of Republicans have a high interest in the recall. That's more than double the share of Democrats. So Democrats are a little worried that they may not get the kind of turnout on this election. That's the Republican hope here, that they can turn out their voters and get across that 50+1% of the votes that they need on that first question on the recall ballot, which is should Gavin Newsom be recalled. They want to get 50+1%. If they do, then it's Katie bar the door. You've got already 63 candidates for governor out there.
I mean, it's going to be a tough sell still in a deeply Democratic state. In the meantime, Newsom is going on a fundraising binge, raising a lot of money, and that's also going to factor in as we get closer to the actual vote. So we'll keep monitoring all of them, see how it turns out. Carla Marinucci, senior writer at Politico's California Playbook, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be with you. Thanks.
Finally, for this week, many companies are debating what the road back to the office will look like, and they better be prepared to make more remote work part of that equation. A recent survey showed that almost 40% of workers would quit a job if their employers were not flexible about working remotely. For more on how important remote work has become over the course of the pandemic, we'll speak to Anders Mellon, reporter at Bloomberg News.
Last year we went through essentially this grand national experiment of making millions of white-collar workers work from home or work from somewhere else than their office. And, the economy is still humming, companies are still making money, and productivity is still high. So people are looking at that and saying, why can't we keep working from home also now? And that's happening to an extent that some of the folks that we talk to, they have simply just left their old jobs and found new ones that would allow them to work remotely full-time. And we spoke to experts that say that there's reason to believe that this might continue into the summer and into the fall as well, of people shifting jobs, because there's a lot of preferences to working from home for many people. And some companies are willing to grant those additional flexibility, and those that don't might have a hard time keeping their people.
Yeah, it's definitely a curious thing. I mean, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of people are demanding that flexibility. I mean, that's why we're talking about this right now. But as things do get back to normal, I'm wondering if the companies are going to have more strength in their position to demand that workers come back to the office. Some of the polls that just came out, I think it was about 40% that said they'd quit if they couldn't continue to work remotely. And the top things that they say why they want to keep doing that is lack of commute, and the cost savings associated with all that.
That's absolutely right. Nobody, I think, really wants to go back to the commute that we had pre-pandemic, whether that was on trains or whether that was driving. One important factor that also plays into this is the relative strength in the labor market in terms of, for the employees, there was not a ton of movement throughout the pandemic because of the uncertainty. So now you have a bunch of pent-up job moves that probably would have happened last year, but that is now instead coming. And then you add that to the trend that we're starting to see the beginnings of people just wanting to keep that remote work. And given that it is a good job market for job seekers, there's reason to believe, the experts said that we talked to, that it might actually be to their advantage also continuing this year, and that companies might actually just have to start adapting or risk to see some of their people leaving.
Some of the workers you spoke to also said that they feel that managers, employers just want tighter controls over their workforce as well. But what have corporate leadership, what have business owners, what have they said about this? How do they feel about having workers work remotely?
So it's been a bit of a mixed message. Bloomberg being largely focused on the financial industry, there we've seen some CEOs coming out quite strongly advocating for an in-office culture. Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan said a few weeks ago that remote work does not work for those who want to hustle, and said if you don't want to commute, then too bad. That's just how it's going to be. Whereas in other sectors, including tech, remote work and flexibility has been a thing for years. And over there, more corporate leaders have already last year came out very early and said we're just going to be fully remote, or we're going to give workers the opportunity to choose how they want to do. So it's a mixed landscape, and I think also at this point many corporate leaders are kind of waiting to see what everybody else is doing, and also particularly waiting to see what their rivals are going to do, and may have to adapt accordingly in order to stay competitive and make sure that people don't affect to rivals. So it's still a bit of a waiting game, and I think a lot of it is going to shake out over the summer, and particularly as we head into the fall when summer vacations are over and people come back from where they might hang out during the warmer months, and callback to offices might actually be in full swing, so to say, towards the end of the summer.
Even on this kind of hybrid model in the way it is, everybody's kind of fallen along the same lines, at least from what I've seen, generally, that the magic number is probably 3 days in the office, 2 days working from home, if they're going with that model, staying away from the complete 100% remote working model. That seems to be agreeable by both sides in a lot of cases.
It does, yeah. That's a survey that we cited by PwC. It looked at U.S. executives, and those bosses said precisely that 3 days a week was kind of the magic number. I think the larger theme that we heard and saw in the conversations that we had was just that people feel like last year it worked, and when companies were forced to empower workers to work from home and trust them that things would get done, it largely worked, and people just don't really want to give up the flexibility and perhaps having the option to work from home and have it not necessarily be a big deal or looked down upon or have to ask for permission. So I think just the sense of freedom and then greater control is really what people would like, and not necessarily just a certain number of days in the office.
And to be clear, these people are very lucky. Not everybody has that flexibility to choose what they want to do. Our frontline workers in a lot of industries have to be in the office or at their workplace to get the job done. So, they may be feeling like they can quit their jobs right now, but who knows if that position will hold up strong enough in the long term. So just something to kind of look at on that front.
That's very true. It's a very good point. Of course, this is a class of workers enjoying a certain privilege in terms of being able to work from home or from other places. And many people who do jobs that make sure that society hums along as it should don't have that liberty.
Anders Mellon, reporter at Bloomberg News, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition. You can catch a fresh episode of the podcast every morning, Monday through Friday on iHeartRadio. You can also follow us on social media at Daily Dive Pod on both Twitter and Instagram. Stay tuned for the Jesus Christ Show next, but first, into the newsroom. This is Kfi Am 640, more stimulating talk.
Whatever happens, we have got it covered.
KFI.
KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Still searching for the shooter. I'm Layla Muhammad, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Loved ones have said their final goodbyes to the 6-year-old boy who was shot and killed as his mother drove him to kindergarten. The service for Aiden Leos was held yesterday at Calvary Chapel, Yorba Linda in Orange County. Only family, close friends, and invited guests attended. Leos was shot May 21st in a road rage attack on the 55 freeway in the city of Orange. The boy was sitting in the right rear passenger booster seat of his mother's car when he was hit by a bullet fired by someone in another car. The CHP is looking for a white VW Golf sports wagon. A $500,000 reward is being offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the shooter. 2 shootings on the 605 freeway in Irwindale caused the freeway to be closed for hours. The first happened around 5:30 yesterday near Lower Azusa Road. The second shooting happened around 11:30 last night near Arrow Highway. The first cruise ship since COVID-19 broke out has left Venice.
A cruise ship had set sail with about 1,000 passengers on board, but the send-off was also met with hundreds of protesters on land and in wooden boats. The voyage marked the return of cruise ships, but re-sparked environmental concern about big ships passing through the fragile lagoon. Protesters were seen with signs that read, "No big boats." Claudette Stefanian, KFI News.
A ferry has hit the dock in Brooklyn. This happened yesterday afternoon near the shoreline of Bushwick Inlet Park. New York Fire Department's Deputy Assistant Chief Michael Gala says the ferry had been taking on water when the captain lost power and steering control.
Passengers have been removed to the Navy Yard. By vessel to the Navy Yard, they were evaluated by Chief Hooper's methods of EMS. Nobody requested medical aid.
125 passengers and crew members were on the ferry going from Manhattan to New Jersey. An oppressive heat wave has settled in over much of the country. ABC's Rob Marciano says 90-plus degree temperatures are expected from Minnesota to New Hampshire.
For the first week of June, this is impressive, if not downright dangerous, especially for the upper Midwest. North Dakota has been sizzling for 3 days now, and they were up and over 100 degrees again yesterday. Bismarck, 103, Fargo, 100, Minneapolis, 99, Newark, 95. So this is spreading to the Northeast as well.
It's only 2 weeks away until the official start of summer. Former President Trump has spoken at the 2021 Republican Convention in North Carolina. Trump talked about immigration and election fraud.
Our leaders, they're bowing down to China. America's being demeaned and humiliated on the world stage. Our freedom is being overtaken by left-wing cancel culture.
Trump said the nation is being destroyed before our very eyes, saying President Biden's administration is the most radical in the nation's history. Essential Quality has won the Belmont Stakes, as you heard right there, for a Triple Crown victory. Essential Quality was the favorite, and the horse met most experts picked to win the Kentucky Derby. Essential Quality came from behind and overtook a stubborn Hot Rod Charlie to win the third jewel of horse racing's Triple Crown. Preakness winner Ron Bauer finished third. The only loss on Essential Quality is a fourth-place finish at the Derby. No idea what I just said there, but it sounded like I knew what I was talking about. Let's check some traffic right now. We have a crash on the 5.
It's going to be on the northbound side of the 5 in the Bueno Park area. This is right at Magnolia Avenue. The 2 right lanes are blocked there. CHP is coming to the scene. 2 cars sit on the 405 northbound at Avalon Boulevard. Look out for a wreck there blocking the off-ramp. And we still have a full closure in effect in Found Valley. 405 southbound from Magnolia to Warner. All lanes shut down there for road work until 8:30 a.m. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jonathan Weiss.
I'll let you know when things will heat up next.
At Loan Depot, we know home means everything. As America's lender and the official mortgage provider of Major League Baseball, we provide mortgage solutions that are personalized, convenient, and fast. With rates as low as 1.75%, APR 2.157%, now may be a great time to explore your cash-out refinance options. Give us a call at 866-888-LOAN. Rate subject to change, 2.421% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
At Cedars-Sinai, we're right here for Los Angeles. Here for the inpatients, the outpatients, and the new patients too. Here to educate, one question at a time. Here to innovate through research and specialized treatment. Here to help with over 2,000 community volunteers. Here to heal with more than 250 locations in Southern California. It's why we've been here for over 100 years. And it's why we're right here if you need us. Cedars-Sinai, we're right here.
Have you been putting off life insurance for a while? With the long application process, medical exams, and blood tests, it's no wonder you put it off. It can seem so confusing, expensive, and time-consuming. But Ethos is a new way to buy life insurance. Ethos is built with you in mind. Instead of a medical exam, you only have to answer a few health questions. Our application is 100% online and can be done in about 10 minutes. You might even get same-day coverage. At Ethos, we match you with the right policy and the right price from top-rated carriers, with no medical exams and no blood tests. Now you can spend less time sorting through confusing paperwork and more time with the loved ones you want to protect. Go to ethoslife.com today to apply in minutes. That's ethoslife.com. Ethos Technologies, Inc. operates in some states as Ethos Life Insurance Services. Not available in all states.
Do you hear My Computer Career ads and think, I don't know anything about computers? Well, you don't have to. Before starting, many graduates could turn a computer on and off. And that's it. Now they're IT pros. You could do it too. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new life in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career.
Hey parents, have you ever wondered how to talk to your kids about the crazy things happening in the world? As great as schools can be, they often don't teach important things like how to start a business or how the economy works. That's why your family needs the Tuttle Twins books. These books teach important ideas that teachers and textbooks don't really discuss. Go to TuttleTwinsRadio.com to get your set of books. You'll get a 35% off discount and free activity workbooks too. That's TuttleTwinsRadio.com.
Southland weather from KFI. Mostly sunny by this afternoon with highs in the low 70s for the LA Basin and Inland OC. Mid-70s for the valleys, 80s for the Inland Empire, around 70 for the beaches. Low 90s in the high desert and mid-70s in the mountains. Right now it's 61 in Santa Ana, 60 in San Clemente, 59 in Corona, and 62 in Long Beach. We lead local. Live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom, I'm Layla Muhammad.
Over 2,000 years ago, I walked this earth, teaching, healing, inspiring, and preparing to make the ultimate sacrifice. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. What if today you and I could talk, voice to voice, and you could ask me anything? You are listening to The Jesus Christ Show. It is the Jesus Christ Show. I am your holy host. Happy to be with you this Sunday, as I'm with you every single Sunday right here, answering your questions and talking about things that truly matter in life and the afterlife. And hopefully, we don't put Layla to sleep this morning. Those are our goals. Answer questions and keep Layla awake. If you have a theology question or a life situation question anywhere in the U.S. of A., dial 800-520-1534. That's 800-520-1534. You hear a lot during the pandemic and COVID. And since the vaccine has come out, you hear a lot about herd immunity. Herd immunity is an interesting term because basically what it says that, and what it means is that if enough people in a community take responsibility to protect everyone, including themselves in the community, that enough of that happens, then the small percentage that doesn't do that, whether they can't for some reason, other health reasons or what have you, that the majority will cover that small group that cannot or does not. This isn't just for vaccination when it comes to medical issues or a virus like COVID-19. You see, the vast majority of crime is not committed by the majority. It's committed by a smaller number of people. And strangely enough, as people went through the different stages of the pandemic, including what is often referred to as a lockdown, but what was a necessity to contain as much as possible of people's movements and interactions